Ooh. All right. Welcome to Evidence-Based Audio number 170. This is for Summer NAMM 2022. And there's some background music going on, and I hope Nancy Pelosi doesn't put me in jail on behalf of her rich friends for it. I can't do anything about it. I'm not stealing your music. It's just playing in the background. I'm not playing it. It's not me. Please don't DMCA me. Please, please, please. Okay, so first of all, if you haven't checked out the Daw Bench podcast, we've talked about this before. This is Vin Curliano. Between him and Jim Roseberry, these are who I consider the experts on building digital audio workstations on the computer end of things. We had a couple shows where a bunch of Dunning-Krugers over at the Reaper users group attacked me for talking about Jim Roseberry's advice, actually. Give me 1 second, sorry. Sorry about that. This is live as usual, and I just have to, this is your modern music business, right? You do everything you can to keep your doors open. Somebody needs some rehearsal space, and I'm going to schedule that with somebody. So give me a second here. All right, so there we go. Speaking of which, I think I see my brother doing air gigs. I'm going to admit something that's kind of scary. I'm not recording and mixing all that much stuff lately, and it really bothers me because, I pretend to be an authority on this sort of thing, and I claim it. And if I'm not doing enough of that, and I'm really just doing too much of the geeky tech stuff, I'm not really doing what a lot of you guys are here to talk about. So I actually put out some feelers to get some live tracking and stuff done. And if that doesn't work, I'll just be tracking the bands as they come in here to rehearse over the next couple weeks. So but if you got a song you really like and you can come here to Hawaii, let's record it, because I need some practice. My brother's been doing more than I have. Tommy Gibbons has been doing piles more than I have. I mean, it's just crazy right now. But anyway, so this recent Daw Bench, actually not that recent, but it's from April. They're talking about some changes in Reaper's performance meter, and for a lot of developers, this is kind of the test they use, the Reaper system, because it sadly it's not likely to crash, but it is likely to give you a lot of information about stuff. And in this case here, you can see that you can choose to display CPU utilization as 100%, all cores fully utilized, or display CPU utilization as 1.0C, one core fully utilized. And so this talks about how much of a core these things are using. And there's a whole lot on this particular Daw Bench episode. Let me get that back on the screen. So this is on episode 17, and he says it's going to be more thoroughly explained by Justin, Reaper's Justin, soon. But this has to do with how the anticipative effects work, how ASIO guard works in Cubase and probably Nuendo, and then how there's some other kind of performance thing, dropout protection or something on Studio One. And this has a lot to do with, I don't know if you guys remember, there was a lot of argument about when the AMDs were coming out with these, like, bajillion numbers of cores inside these things. And we've been talking about this for a lot of time. The single core CPU speed versus having a lot of cores. And there's advantages to both. But when you're doing your low latency stuff, they tend to be how fast is your single core CPU speed. And this is pretty geeky, I'm sorry, but you can actually look at this now instead of the way we usually do it. And often this is still the better way to do it for some of these things that we're doing. It's kind of incredible that you really can't get less than a percent. Some plugins you can, but in general, no matter how fast these cores get, it seems like you're using the same amount. Have you ever noticed that? So, being able to see it as a part of a core can kind of tell you when things are going to make trouble. We always talk about this RT CPU. Usually if that thing gets above like 14, 15%, I get a little bit worried. That's where bad things can happen. Doesn't tend to happen if you got an RME. I'm sorry. But maybe after 25% or so, I'd worry on the RMEs. RT longest block, though, this is one that's really important. And this is you can see in my case, this is my ASIO buffer size, 2.67 milliseconds. And you can see that there's a little bit of a hidden safety buffer in here, even though it's RME. I think there's a way to turn that off, but on the output anyway. If this first number goes bigger than the second number is your ASIO buffer size. If the first number goes over, you might or might not hear it, but it is screwing up. You're not able to get everything done in time to fill the blocks. And there's a lot of talk about that in this episode 17 for DAW Bench. Really, if you listen to this show, I really hope that you also listen to DAW Bench. And I would love it if DAW Bench's listeners listen to this show. But a lot of times when you see me getting attacked for, you usually see me preface certain things when it comes to CPU builds or, tone woods or whatever. I'll preface it that this isn't a moral. This is a technical question. We say it over and over again. This is a technical question. It deserves a technical answer, not a moral judgment, not preaching, not, these giant Dunning-Kruger wars that these guys have. It's often the advice of Vin Curliano or Jim Roseberry that I'm speaking of when I talk on these threads. And if you know anything about DAW Bench, let's just go. The place to really look at it is over at Safe Space, but DAW Bench early on, and I mean really early on, during the days when we were first making Reaper and everything else, he was making these tests, and nowadays they use Reaper, I think, where you would actually test apples to apples everything about how many plugins can you run, what latency you can run at. Hey, Snow Giant, what the different CPUs do. You really had a good apples to apples comparison about how things were going to perform. You need low latency performance. Over at Safe Space they got a thing. Let's see, right here, DAW Bench DSP, and there will be a lot of stuff about how to actually tell what's going to happen on the computer. And if you go to the Reaper users group, they will absolutely scream and deny that this guy knows anything about anything. You mention overclocking, they totally freak out. But you're not really overclocking. You buy a K processor. Anyway, it's just geeky stuff. But DAW Bench, and he goes by TAFCAT on most of these forums and things. This is the place to go for information. In case you don't already know about our round trip latency roundup here over at Kailua Music School, where you can just go and see a chart And, you know, you got a bunch of different driver families and what their actual round trip latency is. This guy takes that kind of thing to a whole nother level. And I mean, talks about, we used a number of Re-X comps to test it. I mean, there's so much stuff this guy actually checks. And I think there's a sticky over at Music Computers over at Safe Space. Yeah, right here, audio interface, low latency performance database. It's 176 pages. This is, if you really want to know things, this is the way to go. Look at this. This is way back in the 920 i7, Windows 7. And for instance, this is a number of Reaper Re-X comps, multiband compressors. And so he's comparing a couple different audio interfaces, and you can see how many you can run at certain latencies. And you just see, you see the difference in drivers, man. RME pulls away so hard. It's absolutely nuts. And this is way back in Windows 7, but you know, if we go to the, let's see if the latest one, I think the results pages were offline for a couple months or maybe even a year. But they've been posting stuff. But see, the greatest thing here, yeah, look at these. So he's looking at the Claret Plus. Are those things any better than the, I think it's, you know, he calls it Desicon. I always see the Sycon.de. That's the drivers that make the drivers for most of these USB interfaces, not the RMEs. But I always wonder, is the Claret Plus going to be any better than the regular Scarlets? And doesn't look like it. Looks like it might actually be worse. Anyway, so that's DAW Bench, and definitely check them out. Really, really important if you're into this side of things, building the computers, understanding how and why they might perform at a certain level. And I mean, this guy goes really deep, like Snow Giant says right here. This guy puts in work. He certainly does. Okay, next is, okay, there was a keynote. See, do they have it here? So this is from a company called GPU Audio. If you go here, and we've talked about this before, CUDA, a couple other things running your plugins on your video card DSP. And as Apple does goofier and goofier stuff, they're actually, people tell me in a way the ARM chip can be thought of more like a video card, and they have their own dedicated GPU, and like, I don't know. I keep hearing how great it is. Everything I've seen on the Apple GPU has been crap compared to an NVIDIA, but people tell me I'm looking at it wrong. So these guys are doing the same thing. We're going to run plugins on your GPU, on your graphics processor. And traditionally, it's been a problem. Like the UAD one, I never believed a damn word they said. I mean, every time we tried these things, they made more latency than if you just ran the stuff through the computer. And the amount of CPU they ate to use their plugins was insane. I'd just rather use just a plugin natively. And by the time we actually did get native plugins that ran both on the UAD and native, we found out that just like everybody was calling, it's just a dongle. It's just a dongle. It's just a dongle. Your native stuff is going to run it just fine for the most part. I mean, if you really need DSP, I suppose it could free up some, but every time I've seen it's just not worth the hassle. It causes trouble. So much copy protection involved. So whether this is going to work or not, I don't know. But certainly for the non-real-time stuff, I think this could be awesome. You know, something like a reverb, anything on parallel where you don't care about the latency. But who knows? Maybe it could do the real-time stuff as well. It just, I just wouldn't figure UA can do it. But there's Sonic State's got to talk about it, and they've got a video where they show a guy talking about it. So I'd go take a look at this. This seems this time like maybe it'll actually happen. I know this comes up every couple of years, but it's interesting to me anyway. So hopefully you can take a look. It's interesting. One of the things we had on our vaporware watch early on in the show was Uad Luna, and it's a DAW by Universal Audio, and it actually came out. Let me see, Audio Luna. So it actually wasn't vaporware. This actually got built, and kind of cool. But as far as I know, they still don't have a Windows version, and I keep thinking, their Windows stuff is always so far behind. I wonder if they're ever gonna have one. But man, it looks cool. I mean, if you're into this kind of stuff, it's probably really cool. But again, they're using this thing as a dongle. Like we're saying now, we got this native UAD stuff, but it's 2 years old. I can't believe this show's been on that long. So that's kind of cool. And I actually had a brief interaction with one of the developers, and this could really go. I know you got to be locked into UA's ecosystem, but it still looks cool. Anyway, I'll take Reaper. You know who I am. But okay. So next thing, it's a couple of years old video, but we do a lot of talking about tone matching and profiling like the Kempers do or whatever. I'm still not all that sure just how much the nonlinearities any of these things get, but I do know that when I'm trying to use one of these amp profiler things, Revolver had one, and it would absolutely nail the amp I was after every single time, no problem. And so ever since then, I've been trying to get some of these amps that I like into Helix, and Helix doesn't have a tone match or anything like Bias does, or like Revolver does. Like a lot of these things do, Neural, Quad Cortex, or whatever, Kemper, all these things. I know they're all different, but I think the Revolver one and the Bias one are just a static EQ capture, but it does it so well. I mean, you could just take part of a song, like just isolate a little part of a song that's just guitar, and your guitar ends up sounding like this. It's incredible. And so I've been trying to use tone matching EQs to do this, and I just don't have that good of luck, and I'm not sure why. So Alex Knievel, I talked to him on the forums a lot. He has a video where he's showing how to do it with the Melda M Auto EQ. What is it? Ceasing. Use line 6 fab filter and reverb and Reaper to tone match and create an impulse response. This one actually might not be the one that I'm thinking about. There was one where he was, there was one where somebody was using the Melda Auto EQ thing. I tried doing it with this fab filter and it didn't have much luck. Hey. Okay. Hold on one second. So there was another one where he was using the Melda one, and the Melda Auto Convolver to do the impulse response itself. This one, I think I pulled up the wrong video. He's using Fab Filter on here, and he always ends up getting exactly what you would expect to get. And I guess I'll try the Fab Filter one. I know I tried it before, but I didn't do it exactly his way, and it didn't come out anywhere near what Revolver or Bias could do, or actually Audio Assault had something that was able to do this as well. So I'm going to give it a try with the Fab Filter one. But I just did a comment on here, and I told him this works really well, but I tried it. I used it to try and steal a Bias Effects amp for Helix, and I just can't get the sound or feel. I wonder if there's something fundamentally different about the nonlinearities in the distortion component. And Alex said, getting the distortion characteristic is more than half the battle, really. The tone matching part is pretty straightforward, especially in a case like tone matching a recorded tone. You have no barometer for feel. And that's true, but I did this with a Revolver, and I was able to take part of a song and just the guitar part, and the guitar model that I did after the capture was pretty much perfect. So I know it's not the EQ. He said, so it's not even about the barometer for feel. I really don't understand just how nonlinear the different distortions are. But he says, but trying to replicate the feel of another amp necessitates a control sample you can actually play through. In this case, I'm using the same control sample. I've actually pre-recorded some guitar parts and putting it through both systems in order to make the matching EQ, and it's just not getting there. And so, you know, I answered him back, you know, so the Revolver capture got this totally perfect, as did Audio Assault. I wonder if I'm using the wrong amp model in the Helix. And that's the thing, like, how does the Kemper do it? Everybody's talking about just how accurate the Kemper is, but does the Kemper actually model the non-linearities? That's the trick. How would you even do that? It seems like the component modeling way, like Fractal is doing things, makes a lot of sense. I don't know how Helix does theirs, but there's something about their distortion that's just a little bit different to me. And I wonder if that's what's keeping this from going, because, man, I could get Revolver right. I could get Audio Assault stuff right. I just can't get Helix the way I would expect it to get. And so check out Alex Knievel's video. It's just called Tone Match IR Creation. Like I said, there was another one where they're using the Melda version, but I didn't really have that good of luck with that either. So I'll give this one a try in a little bit. I'll put this off to the side. I'll come back to this and probably do a video of while we're doing it. Okay, so next thing, still talking about NAMM here. Tommy Gibbons is over at the Crunch Cabinets booth. And you know, he's been, Glenn Fricker, he's been looking for you. He wants to do some stuff with your channel, which would be really cool. And you can go, I know you guys are both there at the same time. I'm not sure if Glenn's got a booth right now, but Tommy is over at the Crunch Cabinets booth. You can see him here. He's hanging out with Jeff Duncan and Philip Sandoval of Arnold Saint. And there's a whole bunch of different artists over at that booth right now. And Tommy should be there. And like I said earlier, Tommy's doing more recording than I am lately, which is killing me. He's probably put out 100 albums in the last 10 years, if not more. And I got to catch back up to him, because when I left, he was, I mean, he was doing it. He was already going. So, but I mean, that was the early days, and now he's just going and going and going. Okay, so speaking of NAMM, I'm going to take a look at what's out here that we even care about. Isotope, of course, still pushing the envelope. Here's something that's going to be funny. So here's the headline: Neve brings legendary sound to your desktop with the Neve 88M audio interface. There's been a couple times that Neve has worked with different companies. I think there was a Steinberg where it had like a Neve DI on it or something like that. And back in the day, if you were to ask Rupert Neve or any of these top designers, hey, my friend says that when I put my microphone through your mic preamp, it totally changes the sound. I think back then Neve and everybody else would have screamed. They say, hell no, we try to make the most transparent product possible. But now everybody's claiming that these different mic preamps do magical things to their sound, and Neve is no exception. There was a talk in Texas he gave where he really kind of said some weird things about digital audio, in fact. But so here we go. It says AMS Neve releases, and remember, this ain't Rupert Neve. This is AMS Neve, whatever. You guys know the story of that. AMS Neve releases its first compact-sized dual mic preamp and USB audio interface. The 88M applies the same transformer balance technology used in Neve's large format flagship console, the 88RS. And does anybody actually? I know there's a lot of corporate clients with these new AMS Neves, but when we're talking about Neves, what are you talking about? 8068 probably. Kelsos, Melbournes, things like that. Not these newer IC things. The 88RS and offers mastering grade AD to DA conversion. For what this thing probably costs, let's just see. AMS Neve and find a dealer. Let's just type this in to Neve 88M. So Vintage King has one for $1,245. I almost want to go to the site, download the drivers, and if it lets me, see if these are Vesicon drivers. If you just paid 10 times the price as for a Focusrite, and you end up with the same Desiccon drivers, I don't really care that this has the best mic preamps in the universe. It's still going to be all the problems you normally have with the cheap USB interface are still going to be here, but you just paid 10 times the price for it. This looks like this could be a pair of really expensive Neve mic preamps in here, which kind of makes it worth the money. But if you go to pipelineaudio.net and you look at the comparison between some of these high-end mic preamps and the mic preamp that comes on your $100 Focusrite, good luck hearing the difference. I mean, you can try and justify what your wallet did with all these claims, but the numbers don't show it. Like we always show on these mic preamp tests, maybe at the top end when you distort things, they sound different. But yeah, things sound different when you distort them. But most of us are using these things in their linear range, in their operating levels that they're supposed to be in, and we're not distorting them. So I don't really care what they sound like when they're distorted because I'm not using them that way, and neither are you 99.999% of the time. So I don't know about spending $1,200 on a $100 interface, but like I said, it could have way better mic preamps. I don't know. Could, but yeah, I don't. It's going to be one of those ones where like this happens every year, right? Somebody from a big name in the past puts out some kind of crazy thing to compete with the really small stuff, and they put it at just an absolutely insane price. Of course, plenty of microphones. Austrian Audio's got the OC16. I think you saw that on one of Glenn's videos, but I can't tell. I got piles of mics out there, and I honestly can't tell the difference between half of these new, a decent cardioid or decent multi-pattern condenser. They all seem to work. You call me a noob, whatever you want, but I don't really have a giant preference with microphones nowadays. They're all really good, even the cheap ones. And Vern Grainer has been on this show before. You've seen the incredible stuff he does with the $100 Audio Technica. I think it's called a 2019 or something like that. And he does incredible recordings with that thing. So, I think a lot of this cork sniffing mic stuff is a thing of the past, or should be. Cranbourne's got his Cast N8 new cabling system. These guys just put out a 500 series rack with Desiccon drivers, as far as I know, USB. This thing's some sort of cabling system. Let's see what
this is N8. It's an audio distribution hub that uses Cranbourne Audio's CAST system to transport balanced analog audio using off-the-shelf networking cables. It's the best way to transform any space into a studio.
Okay, so
developed by Cranbourne Audio and uses shielded Cat 5e, Cat 6, and Cat 7 cables to distribute.
This is something that's been coming out an awful lot lately, and that's using network cables to carry audio around. I wonder about the noise, but man, this has so many advantages.
Analog audio cool around your studio at zero latency and without signal degradation. A single CAST connection transports 4 channels of audio from A to B and supports any balanced line or microphone signals with phantom power over distances up to 100 meters. Nice. N8 is the heart of a CAST system. It uses D-sub cables that have a DB25 connector on one end and XLR jacks or another DB25.
Right, so if this isn't ridiculously expensive, this actually could be something really cool, especially for a place like here where we got to clean up all these cables. I'll be keeping an eye on this one for sure. Motown EQ, I don't care. Universal Audio. Okay, so there's a lot of people talk about this. This is going fast. Universal Audio's making some pedals. Okay, let's see. New Dream 65, Ruby 63, and Woodrow 55 effects pedals give music creators the authentic sound of 3 vintage tube amps with powerful mobile app control and customization, now shipping worldwide. Sounds interesting. And you know what? As much as I give UAD crap about stuff, this is their wheelhouse, man. I wasn't thrilled with the original Nigel amp sim on UAD1, but I wouldn't be surprised if they hit this one right out of the park. And this isn't just a dongle. This is the thing that does the sound. So this actually looks pretty cool. Audient makes another console. I don't care. Patch App DX hardware management system. I'm really looking at that cranberry. See, it's sad because I care about things like patch bays and stuff. I don't use a patch bay anymore, but I used to spend all my time, worrying about routing signals. So I almost want to put a patch bay in my room at this point because I have some things that could actually save me some trouble if I actually used one. I'm actually thinking about it. And I know there's patch bays around. I should actually think about this. Okay. Patch app. Storing and recalling settings. What does this thing do? So digitally controlled analog patch bay. That sounds neat. Patch app. I have no idea what this thing does. So you take a picture of your settings and stuff. So that's kind of smart. So subscription model everybody's complaining about, but this may be a management system so you can remember what your presets were for stuff that doesn't have presets, like your analog hardware. That's looking pretty cool. Next ID44 coming out from Audient. Again, this is the Essicon drivers. Focal, Oratone's got some new thing. Okay. AEA's got their own preamp. These are the guys who made these RCA reissue mic looking things. Heritage Audio announces Super 8 preamp and OST 8 ADAT series 500 ADAT 500 series enclosure. Okay, so here we go again. Let's see. Oh, nice. So here's an 8-channel Neve looking mic preamp set with ADAT out. Probably going to cost a fortune. I don't really care about that. But here's their 500 series, and this one has a ADAT in and out. And is it also an actual interface, or is it just ADAT? Oh, it's just ADAT. Yeah, that's neat-ish, but you're still going to need your interface. So I guess you would pair 4 of these with the RME Digiface USB. That'd be a perfect setup there. I don't know. I don't really use this 500 series stuff, but I know a lot of people do. We used to back in the day. Empirical Labs, the guys who make Distressor, they have their software version, their plugin version of it called a Rouser. They have a light version, so it should be a little bit cheaper. So let's see if they actually put a price on here. Actually looks simpler and quicker to use. This actually might be better. $49. Yeah, okay, that's way cheaper. I think the original was like $300. Pretty cool. So this is your Distressor. It doesn't really have too many settings, but for $50, that's a way better deal than that other one, I think. I would actually go check this out if I were you guys, if you like those Distressor things. We don't have something currently that'll really do the Distressor sound. So this would be something interesting for you. Maybe we'll work on that too. Studio monitor, Sigmod update. BPA puts out a kick drum microphone. Another. I don't want to just get nailed. Always hammering on these analog summing systems. Okay, here we go. This is something people talk about a lot, and lately there's been a lot of rehearsal software stuff going on. But how do you play together? Of course, DynJam, which was critical in Reaper's development, right? But it's a different thing. So how are you going to deal with this latency? So let's see. The Jack Trip app for laptop and desktop computers. Free app without any additional hardware. Thanks to its truly real-time music collaboration, enabling musicians to create and play music together over the internet, delivers pristine sound with minimal time delay. But what does that mean, minimal time delay? For all I know, that's still going to be a lot. I really want to know how this stuff works. I'm going to put this in my back burner. I'll bring this up in a couple of weeks, hopefully. Rodecaster 2, so they got another Rode podcast system. Warm audio. Don't really see anything. Well, Heritage Audio, Fairchilds. Okay. Roco Little Rat. New in-ear monitors. Okay, RCF. RCF is making a USB audio interface. Interesting. So let's see. Now, hasn't everybody been waiting years for RCF stuff because of the supply chain problems, or is this something they can actually put out? Let me... Oh, yeah, that's right. Hello? Are you guys down there? Sorry about that. Again, it's live. We got like a little PA system to set up in a second here. I'll be doing that. Let me move on off the NAMM show. This is pretty interesting. This is, I almost didn't want to show it because I want to talk to this guy. But I got to get a hold of him. This is this guy, somebody Atkinson, right here. Sorry, take this. Hello? Hey, yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll be right there. All right. Sorry. We have a little like a hula show to set up a PA for in a second here. So this guy, I know he probably shouldn't have called this. This is some kind of deep learning amp profiler, amp modeler thing. And there's some YouTube videos with him really showing it. And it's pretty awesome. He says it's open source now. Probably shouldn't have called it neural. You guys probably know why, but whatever. I'll probably be talking to him in the next couple days, so we shall see. But go check it out. If you're really into coding, go check it out. And he's got all the source sitting here at his GitHub, and you can try it out. And there's some videos on YouTube made by Runaway Thumbtack that show this thing in action, and it's pretty impressive, man. So, like, I know we were talking about amp captures just a second ago, but this is wow. Okay, and so just finally, I got to get out of here. There's a thread: need help choosing a budget audio interface. I've changed for a new laptop MacBook with these M1 chips because my old trusty MacBook from 2008 just died. So my Apogee Duet Firewire and my Edirol become obsolete. I've been searching for a way to connect through two dongles, but I wouldn't try it. I've been looking to our Arturis Mini Fuse, the new Volts from UAD, Audient ID4, and the Scarlett from Focusrite. Everything is so... It's almost like, these hype factories just get to everybody. This stuff all works pretty much the same. They're mostly got Vesicon drivers. I wouldn't kill yourself. In your opinion, which one has better preamps? Everybody's going to say Audient, and I bet you it tests the exact same as everything else. The Focusrite, just the regular, the Scarletts, they're fine. I'm using mics, no DI. Seems that the Volts have the advantage of not needing drivers. I don't know. We've talked about this Mac thing and not drivers before. It's not exactly true. The better stuff works better. The stuff with better drivers on Windows works better on Mac. If you really want to buy something good, go get an RME Babyface or something, but that's a lot of money. If you don't need too many channels, go get that Scarlett, man. Don't worry about it. And if I were you, I'd really stay off those Macs if you can help it. See, somebody had the nerve to say, I love the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. Can't say enough good things about it. And he's right. But everybody's going to say, oh, you're wrong. Use a crappy thing. Use a UAD Volt. Anything raised to the Motu M2, M4 aren't on your list because they're probably not for sale. Like, so much stuff is out of stock. It's crazy. We're actually seeing manufacturers canceling certain lines of products because they can't get their chips, man. That's a sad thing. And I'm going to say something that's probably going to upset some people, especially since I got a lot of friends there and a lot of companies that I work with. And like I said, we just got those nice oil slick practice cymbals from one of these companies, but we put all our eggs in China's basket, in Red China's basket, not Taiwan's basket. We put all our eggs in this one basket, and when things go bad, we really lose. We should be diversify. People have, the whole world used to manufacture stuff. Let's get back to that. And I'm going to leave you with that. But please consider taking all your eggs and putting them in different baskets, just in case, okay? Anyways, I'll see you guys later. I got to go do a little setup, and